This video will look at transformations. A transformation is where we move the graph either up, down, left, right. Also reflections and vertical shrinks and stretches. In the first video, we'll take a look at the basic graph of y equals x squared and show you how to move it up, down, left, and right. Now this basic graph is called the squaring function, and the shape of the graph is a parabola shape that looks like this. Now, the first type of transformation is moving a graph up. To move a graph up, all you have to do is add the constant at the end of the function. All right, so for example, suppose that we start off with the basic graph of our squaring function, y equals x squared, and we wanted to move that, let's say, up 4 units. In order to do that, our constant we're looking at is 4. So I would just take the function y equals x squared and add 4 to the end. Now if we graph this, we have our basic graph of y equals x squared. Looks sort of like that. And then our graph here, y equals x squared plus 4, is this same graph, same shape, but it's moved up 4 places. So it would look like this. Now we can verify all of these that we do today by the calculator. I'll bring up the calculator and show you what they both look like. So I'm going to press the y equals key, and I'm going to type in the basic graph, y equals x squared. Okay, I'm going to hit zoom, number 6. And that was our squaring function, same shape, parabola. Now I'm going to go graph the other function, the x squared plus 4 function, because that is the one that's moved up 4 units. Now notice I'm graphing 2 functions at the same time. The first function is our squaring function, and the other function is the one that's moved. All right, so you'll see our other function being drawn, and you see that it is moved up 1, 2, 3, 4 places. Now the second type of move is moving a graph down. It's very similar to moving a graph up, except that we subtract the constant from the function. And this would be at the end. For example, we'll use the same basic graph of y equals x squared. And let's say this time we want to move it down 3 units. Okay, now you should be able to write the equation. The equation moving this down would be y equals x squared, and then we subtract our constant at the end, so we have minus 3. Now the 2 graphs should look like this. Our squaring function, y equals x squared, has that shape. And then the other function, this x squared minus 3, would be moved down 3 places. Okay, so they both have the same shape. but this one's just moved down 3 units. Again, you can verify this in the calculator. Like we did earlier, you could graph both functions, and you'll see the same graph that I drew here. Of course, the calculator does draw it a lot neater. Now, the third type of transformation is moving a graph to the left. And to do that, we add the constant to the x variable. Now, let's suppose that we look at the basic graph of y equals x squared. Now, we want to move this graph to the left 4 units. The function would be y equals parenthesis x plus 4 squared. Now, take note that our x variable is now changed to have a plus 4 with it. We have to add the constant directly to x, wherever x is in a function. So it's not at the end, it's inside here with the x. And that would move a graph to the left. Now the graph would look like this. We have a parabola shape. This is our basic graph of y equals x squared. And then if we move this to the left 4 units, then the shape of the graph would go like this. The graph would be over on the left. Now bringing up the calculator, I'll show you both of these again. I'll hit the y equals key, and I already have the basic graph in y1. So in y2, I'm going to clear that out and type in our new function. So when I hit graph, you'll see the basic graph drawn first, and then the other graph that's moved over 4 units. So the calculator is a great way to check. Now the fourth type of transformation is moving a graph to the right. To do this, we subtract the constant from the x variable. Now, taking a look at the basic graph one more time, it's y equals x squared that we're looking at. And suppose that we want to move this graph to the right 2 units. The new function would be y equals, and where the x is, I need to subtract our number 2. So it would look like that. Same idea in that we are taking the x and subtracting the number from it. Now the graph of this would look something like that. This is y equals x squared, our basic graph. And moving this to the right 2 units would put the graph here in that general shape. So those are the first 4 types of transformations that we have: up, down, left, and right.